Go further with the American Express Business Gold Card. Earn 3 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels when you book through AmexTravel.com. Whether your destination is a business conference or a client meeting, your purchases will help you earn more points for future trips. Experience more on your travels with Amex Business Gold. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
Imagine what's possible when learning doesn't get in the way of life. At Capella University, our game-changing FlexPath learning format lets you set your own deadlines so you can learn at a time and pace that works for you. It's an education you can tailor to your schedule. That means you don't have to put your life on hold to pursue your professional goals. Instead, enjoy learning your way and earn your degree without missing a beat. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.
This episode is brought to you by Walmart. New beauty is in bloom at Walmart, and it's all about springtime radiance. From Drybar, Tula Skincare, and hundreds more available online. Walmart has the premium brands you want and this season's on-trend products for flawless, glossy hair and hydrated skin. Big name beauty brands? Check. The things you love? Check. Find trending spring beauty and all you need to look and feel gorgeous at Walmart, on app and online.
You're listening to the Animation Addicts podcast with the Rotoscopers, episode 326, Sonic the Hedgehog 3. We want more Jim Carrey! Welcome to the Animation Addicts podcast with the Rotoscopers, the #1 place to get your animation fix with animation addicts just like you. Each episode, we dive into the wonderful world of animation featuring Disney, DreamWorks, Pixar, and everything in between. From hilarious discussions and movie reviews to interviews with industry insiders, this show's mission is to brighten your day through our love of animation. So hop on your nerdy couch, grab some snacks, and get ready to hang out with your animation besties because it's time to dive into today's episode.
Hey there, animation addicts. I'm Morgan Stradling.
And I'm Chelsea Robson.
And it is a good day today. How come, Chelsea?
Well, today it's Morgan's birthday.
It's the Lord Chucky's birthday. How does that look?
It's the Grand
Chucky's birthday.
Today is Morgan's birthday. And we are talking about Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Mm-hmm.
And sitting in my car because that's what we do. And that's how we do these things when we are together most of the time. So, Morgan, how's your day?
It's been pretty good.
Yeah?
I'm kid-free, which is all I ever ask for my birthday. I want a day, no kids, where I can just go and do whatever I want, not constantly be interrupted. I love my kids, but I just want a free day.
Yeah.
So today's that free day, and podcasting is part of it. So here we are.
Here we are.
With my favorite person, Chelsea. What else can What else can I ask for? I'm going to go grab some grub afterwards. Free birthday meal.
Free birthday meal at Joe's family of restaurants. Mm-hmm.
He has quite a few options, and you get a free meal at each. So, yes.
Shall we go to both? Should we just hit up all of them throughout the day?
That's what some people do. The lines are quite long, which sometimes do I really want to spend my time waiting in lines?
Right. Just for free food.
Just for free food. Some people, yes.
Some people, depending on the day and time of year, sure.
Yeah.
Holiday season. I hope everybody is doing well with their holidays. And, this is one of those holiday releases that I didn't see coming. So I was happy that we had this happen.
I'm excited to talk about it.
This episode is brought to you by Audi. The road is calling. Embrace the thrill of the drive with the all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron. Featuring effortless power, serious acceleration, and advanced Audi tech. It's not just a new EV. It's a new way to experience driving. The all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron is here. The next chapter of Audi starts now.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, the movie we are talking about today is Sonic the Hedgehog 3. This is a fun one. This obviously is a sequel, next movie in the franchise to Sonic the Hedgehog, which came out in 2020, and Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which came out in 2022. This one came out today, December 20th, 2024. The studio is Paramount Pictures, Sega Sammy Group, Original Film, Marza Animation, and Blur Studio. There's a lot. It's obviously distributed by Paramount Pictures. The budget, $122 million. So far, because they only had Thursday previews, $6.5 million. It's also being released the same time as Disney's Mufasa, which is the prequel to the live-action, not so live-action, actually animated 2019 The Lion King. And so before you said, this one wasn't really on my radar. Now, this one slowly had been getting on my radar.
Yes.
And we saw it in the summer at the summer movie thing. And then I was just kind of paying attention. You know, the 6 months before a movie's released, a lot of the marketing starts coming out. And this one just kept getting buzz. People kept kind of talking about it. People were excited that Shadow was in it. And they actually had a really great marketing campaign this past month. It's in a Christmas season. It's not a Christmas movie. But how are you going to play that up? And so what they ended up doing is releasing a whole bunch of parody Christmas posters. So there's Home Alone with Kevin holding his face, and it's Sonic holding his face, and then both the Robotniks as Marv and the other guy in the background. They're recreating all of them. It's so funny. Yeah, we'll include a link to the show notes where you can see all of these different posters. But there's I think there's a Love Actually one. There's an Elf one. They just really went all out and had a really fun time with this. And then on top of that, they did release an actual stop motion Sonic kind of Christmas special. It's only a few minutes long, but leaning in to things when you think about Christmas, animated films or just films. Obviously, the stop motion Christmas film is one of those. So I think they've just done a really good job. And this is a family film. You know, obviously it's a video game film, but like we were saying, back in our day, the family films usually had kids as the stars. Right. Now the family films have computer-generated characters or cartoon characters as the stars in a live-action world, or straight up just animated. You know, we're talking about family films that aren't animated, right? Right. And that's what this is. And I think it really is doing a good job. And for me, the key is Jim Carrey. Yes. But before we talk about Jim Carrey, let's talk about our theater experience.
Yes. So we went to a press screening, and Morgan had three of her children with her. So we were a group of 5. Yes. And I felt like the whole time we were in there, I was not expecting much of anything out of this. Yeah. I went to it because I was like,
I kind of coerced you.
You kind of did, yeah. I have lots going on in my life right now, and so it's holiday season, and
family was coming in town.
Everybody has lots of things happening, and so it's like, do I take the time to go to this movie, even though it's even like a press screening and free? I was like, okay, sure, you know. So I arranged it,
and my take for it was, hey, my kids want to see this movie anyway. I can save myself, a pretty penny by going to the screening.
Exactly. So I knew that we would do some kind of something about it. But it wasn't like one of my top. It wasn't a movie that I was thinking I would enjoy to the extent that I actually did. And once it got going, and once from the very first beat, story beat, it showed you that this was not a movie to take seriously. Right. And this was something that's going to be joking throughout the entire thing. He comes this. It's in this government lab facility on Prison Island, right? And then this guy comes in. He's like, "Oh man, dude, you ate all the donuts," So it's just it just does a good job of setting it as this is a serious but not serious situation, and just setting you up for what to expect. I really appreciated that. I'm like, okay, this is going to be a funny thing, or at least they're going to try. And as the movie went on, I was like, you did a good job. Good job.
Yeah, the number of reviews that I've seen that are just really surprised. Alan Ng from Film Threat was posted before he went, like, not excited to see this one. And he got a picture of his popcorn bucket. And then afterwards, like, wow, that was actually amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's a lot of people's take into this because, like, if you kind of aged out from this, if you're not still playing video games, or maybe you never played these games, or maybe these type of films aren't your cup of tea, you're like, why am I going to see this one?
Yeah.
And this one has something for everybody.
It does.
To make it really enjoyable, that if you're taking your family, the parents aren't going to be there secretly, you know, scrolling on their phone,
right.
or my dad back in the day falling asleep. You know, he's the good dad, but he's taking you. But, you know, you're kind of sad that he fell asleep in a movie that's so amazing.
Right.
It really does have something for everyone. And the humor, how light it is, you know, they don't take themselves too seriously.
Right.
It's over the top. Very over the top.
Very.
And funny. And
yes.
that's where Jim Carrey comes in. And I want to talk about Jim Carrey because to me, he steals the show. He's the star of the show. And he's pulling double duty as Dr. Eggman, or, you know, Dr. Robotnik, also known as Eggman by Sonic, and his grandpapa or grandpappy, grandfather, Gerald Robotnik. So this was fun.
It was the professor, as he is known to Shadow. I felt like this one they did a good job of bringing in Shadow as a new creature, a new character, and also having you spark interest in his story and have some. I'm just feeling like I would like to know more about this character, and I liked him.
Yeah.
Especially when you have like Sonic to me. Well, also, let me go back. My main takeaways from numbers 1 and 2 was now with more product placement. And it's just like you had all of these, here, take a look at my Zillow account. Like to buy a new car, to buy a new house, or let's go to Olive Garden, you know. So it's like you have so much of this product placement in these other movies that I just kind of felt like roll my eyes, even though they were funny. They had moments that I enjoyed. I didn't enjoy any of them as much as I enjoyed this one. And I think a big reason was like they didn't have to deal with the product placement thing.
They could stand on their own laurels. Yeah.
And so I was glad to have that. And having I remember at the end of Sonic 2, Jim Carrey coming out and saying, I am in retirement. And I was like, what? Oh, man. You ended on Sonic 2? Like, that's how you're going to go out?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he comes back as being the guy in this one. I'm like, what was all that retirement talk? And there was an interview that I saw Morgan found, and it talked about how one night he comes out and he's just like, yeah, I just came back for the money.
But then I read a different interview that he was like, I mean, obviously I have plenty of money. I was just saying that to be funny. You know? But nonetheless, Jim Carrey is hilarious. He's so goofy, over the top. He's in this other world of comedians, kind of like Robin Williams, where they're just wacky. And it works so well in this because he's a live action character playing against these cartoon video game characters. Yeah. And so it affords him the opportunity to be larger than life.
Yes.
To be really wacky, really out there. So funny. I was laughing. Everything he said, basically, I was laughing at.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed him. And I liked having two of them. Double your pleasure, double your fun.
I liked having the two. I even liked how they brought him in and they're like showing him at like watching the Spanish novella. And I'm just like, yes.
He's turned into this overweight couch potato, doesn't care about anything. He's grown his hair out, and so he gets to play up on that. There's just so many different aspects that he covers in this film. And then they have the juxtaposition between him and the grandfather, or you think they'd be so similar. He's the long lost grandson.
Yeah.
And yay, that's great, we're together. But then the split or the cracks start showing.
Yes.
And you realize, oh, this one's actually a lot more nefarious than him. And you see like the good side of the bad.
It's like the Simpsons quote where Bart is talking about that girl, his girlfriend that he had for an episode. Where it's like, you're turning me into a criminal when all I really want to be is a petty thug.
Right. Yeah.
That's Dr. Robotnik in this.
Yeah. Yeah. Dr. Robotnik ends up teaming up with Sonic initially, and then Shadow teams up with Gerald. Mm-hmm. And then eventually the two get together, meaning the two Robotniks. Shadow, I thought, was another breakout character. Shadow in himself is very much a standout, popular character in the franchise, but he has such a tragic, emotional backstory that you really care about this cartoon creature.
Yeah.
He feels real, and you see that how he was dragged along, not initially, but he develops this relationship with Maria, who's the granddaughter of Gerald?
Of Gerald.
Yeah.
And so it's like, is she the cousin?
Or a sister?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I guess we have to look that up. We're not as big into the Sonic lore. But, he has this relationship with her as when he's young, not like it's just a platonic sort of thing. They're friends, because they're cooped up in this government facility. Yeah. And then she ends up dying, and it's very tragic, and he ends up channeling it into this vengeance. And then you contrast that with Sonic. Sonic really hasn't had anything like that, other than losing the
owl.
Yeah, the owl, the parent figure. But they're on two different levels. And so I liked that because you can see the difference between Shadow and what's motivating him and why he's acting the way that he does and why he's so broody. And then Sonic, who is always there to make light of the situation, throw in a pop culture joke when you need it, break the fourth wall here and there. Yeah. But it eventually gets back around. It's not. It's like that the whole time, but it's not like that the whole time.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
definitely at the beginning with Sonic and the race.
It's a very good balance. Like, they just did a good balance of finding the places that were maybe a little slower, that they just okay, we're going to throw in a fun little, throwback or call out to whichever part of the... Oh my gosh. Okay, so right now, this little family, and by little I mean a
family of 5.
A family of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 children. And they're little. Like, how old is the older one?
The oldest has to be 9. So maybe 9, 7, or 6, and then maybe there's some twins in there.
Yeah, I mean, get them out while you can.
5, 3, 2, or something like that. Yeah.
It's like they come out of this minivan and it's like, oh man,
they keep coming. Is there another one going to straggle along?
Anyway, what were we talking about?
Sonic, Shadow.
I just felt like they did a good job of balancing out. When it got a little slow, they were able to throw something funny in. They're calling out different types or different demographics of the audience, of the expected audience. So there's a millennial call out there for the millennials, anybody who grew up in the 90s, and there's little things in there. They're like, haha, I get that. I understand that reference. So I felt like they kept it going. They kept it moving. They kept it rolling. There was never a spot that I felt like was slow or too much. Yeah. I just felt like this was a fun time throughout.
Yeah. So then we have Knuckles and Tails. And I'm not going to lie, I did not get around to seeing the second movie. It was my intention. We rented it from the library. The kids ended up watching it, but I was doing chores or something else and didn't get around to rewatching it before we had to return it. So I was like, I'll be fine. I don't need to see it, I don't think. And it appears I did it. I was already aware who Tails and Knuckles were, and they were there. So clearly the second movie was all about, them joining the Team Sonic.
Right.
And it was fine. But the one thing with Sonic and Tails is I did feel that they were really, Sonic himself feels really underdeveloped compared to Shadow.
Very much.
He doesn't do much. He's just very flatline. He doesn't have a big...
An overarching
arc. He doesn't have a down point. He's just kind of there, going from plot point to save the day and to do the mission, right? Yeah. There's nothing that really makes him struggle. And one thing that I thought would be really obvious is that Shadow is seemingly way faster and more overpowered.
Yeah.
Compared to
definitely
Sonic,
the bigger baddie.
And I didn't know why. It just seemed like that's just naturally who he is. I was trying to see maybe he was engineered that way or whatnot. Yeah. And so it seemed like there was a great opportunity for Sonic to have to use his brains or outsmart Shadow some way in order to overcome that innate weakness. Sonic needed to be taken down by Shadow in a very disheartening
Yeah, and he needed
ego
to be able to
bruising
come back.
way, and he needed to come back, and I didn't feel it. Like, yes, Shadow gets away when they're in Japan, but they're like, okay, and so if Sonic feels underdeveloped, I felt that Knuckles and Tails really took a back seat.
They definitely did.
They're very one note. So Tails is the smart tech nerd, and Knuckles punches stuff. Yeah. And they reappear from time to time. Like, they're in the background of Team Sonic, but Sonic's doing most of the talking. Or sometimes they're just not even on screen. And they come back to check off boxes, meaning Tails hacks into a computer system and Knuckles punches stuff. Yeah. And that's about it for them. And then, going back to Sonic at the end, he doesn't have this character growth. All he does is he goes to the Forbidden Chaos Emerald, which I must admit, I know what a Chaos Emerald is because I played Sonic Adventure 2 and I played the Sonic games. But it seemed like it was very contraband and something that you shouldn't turn to. Right. It was dirty in a way.
Which was kind of contrived. It felt contrived because they didn't really show that there was a reason why.
Was there in the second movie? Was that kind of explained?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember.
It just, it was like, oh no. You can't do that.
Yeah,
because
the Chaos Emerald. The wife comes out and she's just like, oh, we just do the Chaos Emerald. And they're like, oh, no, we can't do that. And it's like, I mean.
But why?
Yeah, but.
There were no consequences after the fact when he did.
Yeah.
So he goes and instead of, using his brains or digging deep inside to figure it out, he just uses the Chaos Emerald. Ooh, I'm supersonic now. And then, Shadow did that too. So what was the point?
Yeah. That was something that, especially as far as overall story goes, definitely needed work. And I'm not saying...
definitely like a nitpick.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, if you're looking for things that could have been improved upon, there's definitely things that can be improved upon in this movie. I was just saying, overall, afterward, I was just like, both you and I were just like, I actually really enjoyed myself.
That was really fun.
Like, it was just fun enough that I didn't really, in the moment, you don't really care. But then going back through, you're like, okay, yes, these are ways that definitely can be improved upon as far as story goes. Sonic is a character that could...
He's a goofball.
Yeah. But as you were mentioning, having to go back and come up with a way to outsmart, to outdo, outrun, I don't know, something. Yeah. Shadow in his own, to be able to...
Like, use Shadow's vengeance or his blindness to Sonic's benefit. Right. And that didn't really happen. It was like, oh, just a battle seed.
Yeah. And there is a moment where Shadow kind of learns to... kind of take a step back instead of leaning into the revenge side. So there was some, lack of planning in that section of it. But and that was the thing that really bothered me too, is how they ended up, they basically killed him off.
Yeah, so spoilers, they didn't want us to talk about this in the reviews, but this isn't our official review. This is
this is the podcast.
This is the podcast spoiler review.
You've already seen it, right?
Yes, if you're listening, please. You should have seen Sonic 3 by now. Yeah, so they kill him off, but it's an off-screen death, and they kill off Eggman too.
Right.
And so you're like, no.
Yeah, you can't.
You cannot, and they've already announced, it's been not even a day since the movie came out, that their Sonic 4 is in the works. Okay. Which is expected based on the post-credit scene with Amy. And, because there's more characters in the Sonic world other than the ones we've introduced to. And it's super smart. Like, just drip them one at a time. Yes. Way to go.
Only one new character at a time.
That's all we really need.
Make it every level is its own level.
But
good job.
Eggman is always there. Eggman is always there. So you need him. So
he's the big baddie.
Something's going to have to happen that he... actually took a pod out of there and escaped, and Shadow with him, because Shadow is way too popular to kill him off after one. Yeah. So I hope that there's something in the works, because that just made me really sad. I really enjoyed Shadow. I thought he was just a highlight.
Yes. And having Keanu Reeves coming in as Shadow is like, yes, this feels perfect.
He did a really good job. Yeah, I was reading some interviews saying he took this very seriously. Yeah. So when he was in the recording booth, he would do not just one or two takes or however many. I'm sure you do tons of takes, but he went above and beyond. And each take that he did was totally different, a different direction, and they really appreciated that, because it allowed them, to really pick and choose for the character where they wanted him to go. So I just love that we got Keanu Reeves in there.
Yes. And I was watching some red carpet videos of Keanu, and they had done some interviews with Jim Carrey, and Jim Carrey was like, oh man, he's just like, he's the man that every man wants to be. He's amazing. And Keanu's like, yeah, I've only met him one time. He didn't really say that, did he? Oh, that's so sweet. And it was just like, aw. I just, after watching any of these interviews for the press junket for this movie, it just made me really miss like good old Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Like, he's been away too long.
I think so.
I'm
like, please, we need more wacky, goofy films like this for him to just showcase himself. The Ace Ventura, The Mask. He's older now. There's definitely characters that you can create for him to do that. So we need more. This is our petition. We need more Jim Carrey.
We do. Bring back
in all aspects, in just comedies. Let's get him in a romantic something. Like, that'd be funny. More action adventure, whatever the casting call. Jim Carrey, just apply to all of them. I know you're maybe retired or joking you're retired. Maybe you don't want to work as much as you used to, but we need you to work.
What did he say?
Robin Williams is gone. You're the only thing we have left.
Don't. Yeah, no, there was a moment in one of those interviews where he was just like, yeah, I know I said that. Well, I think maybe it was just more of like a power rest.
I was taking a power rest, yes. Funny.
I was like, you're so endearing, man.
Yes,
and
I like him.
Like, I was just like, I love Jim Carrey. Bring him back.
One thing I didn't necessarily love about this movie, it seems that every movie, it suffers from the Marvel problem, where in each subsequent movie, the stakes are getting higher and higher and higher. So you're no longer just saving the city. Now you're saving the country. And now you're saving the world. And next you're going to be saving the universe. It's just too much. And I just felt the Sonic world.
And this is you coming like, I need the stakes to be higher.
Well, were you talking about this movie?
For anything.
I know.
It's always Morgan who's like, I want blood.
I know, but you can do that on a smaller scale, I feel. And they've done that in the other movies, and I just felt like, really, we're in outer space doing this, and we're going to like create a pseudo Death Star to destroy the world?
It is. Why?
Why are we doing this? I'm like sick of Death Stars. No more Death Stars. It just was unnecessary. We didn't need to go that high. Like, you're flying too high to the sun. Could have been bad. And I know that was some, the criticism I've seen in the movie, that was maybe one of them. It was like, what? Why are we doing this? And I mean, it was fine.
Yeah.
But I'm like, we don't need to be going to space. Just keep it here. Keep it like local baddie.
The chaos energy.
Yeah.
I really appreciated the fact that they were able to like have a hierarchy of Gerald being like the badder baddie. And as mentioned before, the criminal versus the petty thug.
It kind of gave me Despicable Me vibes, with Gru and all the other villains that we've met. There's different levels.
Have a very
Gru vibe, right?
It does have a very Gru vibe. I just felt like the entire thing was very enjoyable. I felt like I was entertained through the whole thing. I laughed multiple times out loud.
Oh yeah.
And I thoroughly enjoyed many aspects of the funny that they just threw in there, because I wanted to laugh. And this is a movie that took me. I will actually be seeing this again on Christmas Day. So
taking the family, or the family's going.
The family's going.
This is the movie to see instead of Mufasa. You have two choices. And any family that I'm meeting, I'm saying, go see Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Yes.
Even if you haven't seen the other two. You don't need to see the other two.
No.
Like, you got it. He's like
Moana,
this,
you don't need it.
He's a blue hedgehog who runs around. Like, whatever. Like,
right.
Moana, it's done. And
Mufasa,
Wicked,
please don't.
it's PG, but depending on your ages, it might not work for smallers. That's a new one.
The youngins.
The youngins, yes. But Sonic 3 is perfect for everybody.
There are a couple moments where it's like, it depends on how strict you are with language. There's a couple little moments. So if you are like a super strict person as far as with kids not wanting anything, then it's like maybe a little bit older. But if you're not that strict, then they're not even really going to notice it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I just felt like it was a movie that, yes, with everything coming out, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 had its
Who
day.
Who'd have thought?
I know.
Especially after Mufasa, that's coming out. And Lion King, like we said, it was the largest animated film for a long time until it finally got upseated. But they claim it's live action. And I think Lion King in 2019 was riding on the nostalgia and the brand goodwill of Disney. They hadn't done quite as many of these live action things before. People love The Lion King. And I think people went out to saw it and they said, oh, yeah, it was good. But then it just didn't hold up.
Member berries. I
don't think it deserved as much box office as it did, but people went and they spent their money. But I think over the past 5 years, the goodwill of the Disney brand has completely gone in the toilet.
Yes.
Whereas people are no longer going to be, just, oh, it's a Disney film, we're going to go see it. That's not there anymore. That's a big struggle that Disney has, and let alone it's this prequel. I've heard really mixed things. That it's terrible. That's actually pretty okay. It has Lin-Manuel doing the music, but Lin-Manuel is Lin-Manuel. He's not Tim Rice, and it feels different.
Yes.
And I think for that reason, and plus it's just very bland looking, that I'm like, do I want to look at this the whole time? I would go see Sonic 3 again before seeing
Sonic.
Mufasa. And I haven't seen Mufasa, so I'm not like ripping on a movie. Like,
we are ripping on a movie
we haven't seen.
but I'm still gonna rip. It's on principle.
Rip away. Let it rip.
Yeah, I just, from what I've seen about that one, it's like, oh, the reason
I'm not gonna waste my money this time.
Yeah,
like, fool me once.
I will tell you right now, if you're going to go see this if you have the choice, I would absolutely choose this one over one that has not been vetted. Mm-hmm. So we have vetted it for you. You'll like it. Go for it.
Yes. So what would you rate it, Chelsea?
I'd say like 3.5 stars. Mm-hmm. As far as like quality of story, I can't give it a 4 or 5, but overall, definitely something I would watch again, as mentioned, is definitely something that I enjoyed, and it hit all the notes that I needed it to hit for 3.5 stars.
Yes, I'm also going to give it 3.5 stars. It was solid. It was funny. It was enjoyable. I liked everything about it. There were not moments where I was groaning or like, okay, are we done?
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. My kids really enjoyed it. I feel like families will really enjoy it. They hit the nail on the head with this one. They really knocked it out of the park. They know their audience. They know the Sonic audience. There were tons of people at our screening who were hardcore Sonic fans, like wearing Sonic gear and Sonic hoodies and wearing the red Sonic shoes.
Yeah.
And these were adults. And they were talking about it and like, can't wait to go back. It's the Sonic fans. It's not like this has been trivialized or juvenilized for you guys. If you grew up loving this, you're an adult, you're a millennial now, don't worry, you're still going to love this. This isn't just like, oh, Paw Patrol with Sonic characters sort of thing where you're just like, why am I here? It's
you
great.
Ruined it.
It's great. And there's plenty for the super fans, for the kids, for the adults. And frankly, the adults that don't even want to be there. It will satisfy everyone there, which is great. Now, I do have an update.
Ooh.
So
I love updates.
Yeah, it's minor. But I've been thinking about my review for Wicked.
Oh.
And I want to bump it up from 3.5 to 4 stars.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Wicked was very, very good. And
I
mean,
saw
very,
it again,
very, very good would be 4.5. But
yeah.
It's like a solid 4.
Okay.
Even with all my criticisms of like the singing not being what I'm happy with or what I'm expecting for Broadway, blah, 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 blah. It like heavily in the 4 range.
I probably, if I saw it again, I wouldn't have the same expectations or read too much into like individual things. I might give it more, but I'm going to stick with my 3.5 stars for them.
Perfect.
I don't know. I might even, as we're talking about Sonic, I'm like, they're just, the only reason I'm not giving it a higher one is just because of that ending of, as you mentioned, the character development really wasn't there to like make it something that I'm like, oh, but as far as an enjoyment, it's 5.
Yeah, totally.
As far as like critical, 3.5.
It's 7 out of 10,
yeah.
Which 3.5 out of 5. Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty good.
Cool. I'm glad.
All right. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas and happy birthday.
Thank you so much. Happy birthday.
The Grand Chahi's birthday.
I love it.
All right, let us know in the comments. We would like to do some kind of New Year episode with your inputs, all of the voicemails. So make sure to go and send us a voicemail, rotoscopers.com/voicemails, to make that a thing. Or you can even just go onto your phone, go into voice memo, record yourself saying a little message, and then emailing that to contact@rotoscopers.com. We would love to hear from you.
Yes. All right, that's all we have for today. Until next time, we are the Rotoscopers.
I'm watching your face as you do it. It's just like,
we must sync together.
We can't make this not work even if we're not
in
the
person.
car.
We have to make it work, of course. Okay, our title, we could have been like, what did I say? Like, we want Jim Carrey.
Or Power Rest or Power.
Yeah, Jim Carrey's Power Rest. There's some other ones. Some funny ones we said.
Oh, Petty Criminal or
Petty Thief.
You're turning me into a criminal when all I want to be is a petty thug.
That's a long one.
I know, but that's still one of the great. It's one of those great Simpsons quotes. It's just like it works so well.
It's the girl with the black hair, right?
Yeah.
It's the cell phone
it's
girl.
Reverend. No,
yes,
it's Reverend Lovejoy's daughter.
Yeah,
and then she tries to be all perfect and with everybody else, and everyone thinks she's perfect. But then Bart's like, "What the?
Yeah.
You're really the next level. Come on, Bart."
I have something Sonic pulled up. Which one is it? No, it's one of the games. Oh. Let's see. Sonic Adventure 2 is what this one is kind of based on. So I was kind of looking up that game, which I played that game. You've been listening to the Animation Addicts podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and be sure to leave us a 5-star review. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you want to help spread the word, be sure to share the podcast with your friends on social media. Just don't forget to tag us at Rotoscopers on Instagram and use the hashtag AnimationAddicts. For all the links and full show notes for this episode, go to rotoscopers.com/podcast. Now, if you still can't get enough for your animation fix, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and visit rotoscopers.com for more animation news, reviews, and interviews. Thanks for listening.